Today on the TMZ Podcast.
Welcome to the TMZ Podcast. Harvey Levin here.
Jason?
Derek here.
So it is really interesting. I was going to say stunning, but it's interesting that Chris Rock, I think, has squandered a lot of the goodwill after the slap with his crack about Nicole Brown Simpson.
This was exactly my thought as well. He, in the wake of the Will Smith incident at the Oscars, he played it perfectly. We talked about it. He didn't react on stage. He stayed quiet and didn't pile on Will Smith as the world was piling on Will Smith. And we were like, wow, he's handling this with such aplomb. This move is the first one where now Will Smith looks better. Will Smith has made a...
Well, I think he looks better.
I do, actually. I think Will Smith has made this full-throated apology.
This has nothing to do with
I don't
Will
think
Smith.
you want to compare them.
Okay, we don't need
But
to
it has
compare them.
nothing to do
but
with Will Smith.
Well, fair enough.
But
So
we should
let's leave
explain.
Will out of this.
Let's explain what happened. So Chris Rock came out and said that he's not going to do the Oscars next year. He was invited to do it, said he's not going to do it, and he compared it to going to the restaurant. Happens to be called.
He said this would be like Nicole Brown Simpson going back to Mezzaluna. Would be me going to the Oscars next year.
So
joke, but
the joke is about a woman who almost was beheaded by O.J. Simpson.
yes.
That's the problem, and but
Do you
it's
think
more,
that's the problem?
I think
Okay,
it's more.
go ahead.
I think it's more complicated.
Yeah.
But he first of all, it's inaccurate.
Well, but this gets to... let me interrupt for one second.
It's inaccurate.
I don't think that the problem is that he took a shot at Nicole Brown Simpson, the victim of a horrible, brutal murder. And the problem is it wasn't funny and it was inaccurate. If it was funnier, I think he gets away with it. I think we've seen that through comedy. If it's funny enough, you get away with it.
I think this is part of this third problem, which is Chris Rock is starting to sell dated jokes. This was part of the problem with Jada Pinkett Smith. He told a joke about G.I. Jane, which, to your point of, if something's funny enough, it passes. He's telling dated jokes. Chris Rock is one of the legends of comedy, and he's telling a joke about something in 1994. This
oh my
is
God!
something
Do you know what this sounds like?
It's strange.
What's the name of the show? Is it Hacks with Gene
Yes,
Smart?
yes.
It feels
It's a great
like
show, by the way.
A fabulous show. But it feels like when she was on stage and was kind of telling those older jokes, and then the writer woman said, "Hey, you got to update it."
Yes.
Maybe part of it is that we should explain it's inaccurate because if he's talking about the scene of the crime, he should have been talking about Bundy, not Mezzaluna, where she had eaten dinner before she went back home to Bundy.
Right.
But the bigger thing is, look, her family is really outraged by it. The reason I say it's more complicated is A, what you just said, which I think is really a valid point, that funny often trumps a lot.
Good, bad taste.
Yeah. But secondly, he told much more difficult jokes about that.
Yes.
20 years
past,
ago.
yes.
20 years ago. Maybe it was 8 or 9 years after the murders. He told a joke. I don't even want to repeat it. I mean, it's
a very famous joke, too. It's in one of his big specials. And you're right. I don't know if we should even describe the joke, but it was
Sort of
essentially...
a she's got it coming kind of thing.
That was the
That
spirit
was
of the
exactly
joke.
what it was.
But it was a joke. It was a...
And it worked, by the way. He was a giant of comedy.
So here's my question. If he told that joke today and, somehow weaved this slap thing in, if he told that joke today, would there be criticism? Because there wasn't back then.
There might be, but I know the world has changed, but I still think that humor, and I think that we see it in the comedy of Dave Chappelle most notably. If it's funny enough, nobody cares, and there's some people care. Some people loud enough.
It's
and
a
shout
high
out.
risk, high reward
It is a
proposition these days more than ever.
That's a true statement, right? You think it changes everything. You don't think
It wouldn't have worked today, I don't think.
Really?
That joke would not have flown today.
I disagree. There was no time.
It was funny.
Even 20
that's
years
a
ago.
blazing hot button, not just a hot button.
But even 25 years ago, that joke was, a lot of people were like, oh, no, he didn't.
But the "oh, no, he didn't" used to result from laughter. Now it results from outrage.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot more voices
When you
on
say,
social media.
no, he didn't say that. It used to be, wow.
But don't you think if that joke was pitched today in our newsroom, we would talk about the cancel culture and what it's doing to society, and it's a joke?
But we are talking about that. And I guess the issue...
What do you say to Nicole Brown's sister? Who
don't.
says we're still the survivors of this, and you're making light of my sister's brutal murder? It's hard to say anything to her.
Jason,
She
what
sort
if
of has
he's
a trump card?
What if he was accurate and he said it would be like going back to Bundy?
well, putting I keep
The
going back
accuracy
to
bothers
I
you
keep
so
going
much.
back to
Why?
no, that doesn't bother me as much. I
Yeah,
keep
it
going back.
Well,
to,
you know,
is
you
it
said
funny?
accuracy.
I did. That's one of the things. Is it really funny? I think he gets away with it. I don't even know how we can look at it otherwise. There are jokes told today that are as bad as this. We make fun of everything. We've heard World Trade Center jokes. We've heard, Fukushima jokes. We've heard Holocaust jokes are a staple. We can laugh at them if they're funny.
You think you think he's getting dragged because it's just stale?
I think it's not funny.
I think it's the stale part. I think people are now starting to critically re-examine the incident with Will Smith and wondering, wow, is Chris Rock corny? Is he stale at this point? Which, for guys of my generation, he was the largest comic. He was way bigger than Dave Chappelle at a time. He was just immediately on Mount Rushmore. So to think that he's now getting lame and telling sort of hack jokes about 1990s, murders, which were jokes on late night television.
But do we kill a guy for one bad
the
joke?
90s?
Do we kill a guy for one bad joke? Is this the high risk, high reward?
Is it a pattern now, though? The G.I. Jane joke.
G.I. Joe was funny. I like that joke. That was funny.
Okay,
It's a dated reference too, though.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What if he used Gabby Petito?
People say, who?
No.
If she used Gabby Petito, look, I keep going back. My standard is if it's funny, and not my standard. I believe that in society, if it's funny enough, you can make a joke about anything. Now, to Derek's point, the newer it is, and the more sort of insensitive it is, the greater the risk is. But if it's funny enough, you can take the greatest risk.
And great comedians like to live at that edge. That's where humor is as well.
Listen to Bill Maher. He is saying, Bill Maher is a stand-up comic, and he is saying comedy is on the ropes, if not dead, at this point.
But that's a criticism. But maybe
he's supporting Chris Rock.
Yeah.
He's saying don't drag him for
No.
jokes
But when
that miss.
Jason's saying funny trumps all, he does not agree with that.
But Dave Chappelle points in the other direction, right?
Well,
he made
Dave Chappelle's taking his own heat.
Yes, but it's not affected his career at all. There's always going to be people in the corner shouting and screaming.
Let me ask you a question. Why does the accuracy of it bother you so much? Is it that you have such a close history with the coverage of O.J. Simpson? Because your take on the accuracy being the problem is pretty unique to you.
But only because
most people just blew past.
I understand that, but I lived this. It was my whole life.
But I'm with you on this because the joke is equally funny or not funny, but equally funny.
I know why
if he uses Bundy
no.
in the restaurant.
We got to move on.
And so it's clumsy. He didn't sort of work it out.
Here's why it really bugs me.
Yes, go ahead.
Mezzaluna sucked. And it was a terrible, the food was lousy, I think. And
as I told you before, not the worst part of Nicole's night.
I understand that.
The rigatoni.
But it stayed around for years and years and years because it became a tourist trap.
That's right.
Yes. Anyway, so maybe that's...
I got it. It grates on you.
Okay.
It's a raw nerve.
Madonna. I love her now. I liked her before. I loved her music. I was kind of amused by her. But I just love that she's in her 60s and, and everybody's saying, oh, she's acting like she's 20 and blah, blah, blah. I love this. And maybe it's because of my age, but also maybe because, when you get older, you're told, okay, you have to act this way now. You can't, if you feel, anything involving youth, you shouldn't express it because people are just going to make fun of you and that you're past it. And that's such bullshit. And I love that she just is moving forward. She doesn't care. People are saying, oh, you're acting 20 and you're in your 60s and all that shit. I love that she's doing this. I love it. I really do.
I have a different... Do you want to set it up a little bit, what she did?
Why don't we play it?
Yeah, let's play it.
Okay, that's enough.
I think we get the picture.
We got it.
Did you want to
I think I have a different take than you.
So do I.
I appreciate that Madonna is sort of vivacious and youthful even in her 60s. What bothers me...
in her 60s. That's my point.
I know.
You made my point.
I kind of did. She didn't want to put on her house frock and slippers and be a 60-year-old like most 60-year-olds. She's going to do it in her Madonna way.
Like most 60-year-olds. What?
Well, let me ask you a question. What bothers me a little bit is Madonna is the queen of sort of reinventing herself, and it seems stale to me. That's what's wrong with this. Is
this our stale theme?
So I think it's great Madonna likes sex. I think it's great that whatever age you are, you get into sex, the whole thing. this is pathetic. To
Why?
me. It's not because of her age. It's because she has shown over. I grew up with Madonna. I was 13 when she came out, doing all of her Material Girl stuff, doing the Like a Virgin stuff. She was everything. This to me is put on. It's meant for presentation.
Desperately grasping for
desperately
relevancy.
grasping for relevancy in this weird, overproduced YouTube video that is kind of awkward to watch. Her sex. What's your favorite snack? What's his name? Oh my God.
Listen to the soundtrack. Doesn't it sound like you're in the 90s too? It doesn't sound current. It sounds like a woman trying to be current. And that's what is bothering me about Madonna is she's not gently going into that good night. To your point.
No,
That's messed up.
No.
Why should she go gently?
No. But Derek is saying
she's too old. Derek's saying she's too old for
Yeah,
this.
no. Derek
and I
is
disagree
saying.
with that. Right.
Derek is proving my point.
Yeah.
She could pivot to the new 60s
I just don't
60s
find it
version
authentic.
of
I just find it
Madonna.
totally
Well, that's
inauthentic.
part of what I'm saying. I agree.
What is a 60s version of Madonna? Just explain.
Waddling around in fishnets saying sex is your favorite thing to do isn't
What
it
is
not
what
waddling.
is
She's
what
in
is
incredible
this?
shape.
You didn't
She does
answer,
look in good shape.
You didn't answer the question.
what does it
What
mean
is the
to be
60s
60?
version of Madonna?
The 60s version of Madonna would be sort of thoughtful and reflective on her past, but different.
More
Sort
Tina
of-
Turner.
More Tina Turner. How about that?
Yeah.
Tina Turner still has the sex appeal, but it doesn't strike me in the same desperate way.
Tina Turner was in
good point.
Tina Turner, I think, was in her late 50s, maybe 60s, when she was still performing and looked just incredible.
Why does it bother us less? You have to tell us because there's something about Madonna.
I guess-
Tina Turner doesn't bother. I'm speaking
No,
for you,
it doesn't
but,
bother me.
but I find her. I celebrate her.
Like Cher. I mean,
Cher too. I love Cher.
Okay.
It's
Everybody loves
Madonna.
Cher because
just-
Cher was authentic. Cher from the beginning was this outrageous person. This to me,
but Madonna was that outrageous.
not
She
in
was, I
this
guess,
way, but I don't know. It feels totally inauthentic. Like
this is just-
Helen Mirren, sex forward into her 60s, right? Talked about it all the time. It was authentic for her. This to me seems just like an act, like she's desperately trying for people to say how awesome and sexy she is, instead of just being authentic.
Helen Mirren wouldn't say her favorite snack is a fat dick. You know, there's something like desperate about doing
You
it.
don't know what Helen Mirren likes.
and the other thing is, okay,
There's
it's
a
like,
decorum,
But, no,
Madonna.
but you are
The fact that
looking.
you
At,
said that next to me is gross. By the way. Go
you're
ahead,
looking at decorum. I mean, I know all of this is
Yeah.
code for sitting back in a lazy boy and getting ready to die. And you know that is. That's exactly what you're saying. That when you get older, and I'm just saying this because I am older, and you know, and I don't know whether this is defensive, but I don't think it is. I mean, I am not ready to just say, you know, I'm going to sit on a sofa and just watch TV for the rest of my life and rot. I'm just not going to
Although
do
you
it.
do long for a Barcalounger.
I do long for a no, I do. I'm not saying I don't,
what
but
is
I
your favorite
but I
snack?
did when I was much younger.
Right. That's just been a consistent theme
Right.
in your life.
But
yeah.
my point is that, you know, to dismiss her and say it's pathetic because of her age. There are a lot of people in their 30s who are way less vibrant, way less in shape, way less everything than Madonna.
yeah.
And so what's your point? That just age means you basically retire yourself?
No, it doesn't, because I do think there are these counterexamples of Tina Turner and Cher. There's just a whiff with her of desperation, which is off-putting because she
But
is
that's
Madonna.
regardless of age. It was that whiff.
It's
Was,
regardless
was
of age.
gross
But
10
are
years
you
ago.
and
okay
what I
with
love
are you
about
okay
Madonna
with
is that
Cher
she-
wearing the same outfits that she wore when she was 40?
Like the "Do you believe in?" like
Yeah,
the leather. For some reason, I am with Madonna. It seems like she's
I'm fine.
clinging to relevancy.
I think it's fantastic.
Do you think Cher wants to be hip with the young kids as much as Madonna? It's the Madonna yearning
She
to
wants
be
to be
part
re-
of the current culture that is strange.
But
to me-
why?
You don't think it's weird? You don't think it's weird that she's doing this weird video? But Cher wouldn't do this. Cher just comes out with wings on or whatever it is, and it's you're like, hey, it's Cher. This is oh my God, what happened to Madonna? It just is. It's
Her last stab at cool was when she made out with Britney Spears at the VMAs. For me,
And
that
even
was
then,
kind of
she
cool,
was
but it was
too
on the
old for
cusp.
being-
Well,
Yeah.
what bothered me was
And that was 20
at
years
Britney's
ago.
wedding when they tried to recreate it. That you just don't do.
Yeah.
Why did that seem desperate?
Because it seems stale to me.
So this one you just like this.
No, you know what?
No,
What-
I'm just like, something seems stale to him.
I guess, look,
Something seemed lame.
I'm not saying that the video that we just played is awesome because I don't think it is.
Mm.
All I'm saying is you can't just dismiss it because of her age.
Yes.
You can dismiss it because it may be lame and may be forced and may not be authentic. But to say it's about age, to me, it's like, you know, and maybe
you
I
reject
would
that.
have probably said what you're saying if I were your age again, but I'm not.
Right.
And I see it differently now.
Let me ask you one more question, then we can move on from this. Is Madonna in on the joke of her being older and doing this?
That's
or
a really good point.
That's what I wonder, because self-awareness
Cher's-
matters a
because
lot.
Cher's
Cher
in on the
knows.
joke.
Cher knows that this leather outfit is absurd. Does Madonna know? If she does, I feel totally differently about it.
I don't think she does.
That's the problem for me.
Hey, before we move on, I just want to talk a little bit about our Michael Jackson special. This is going to air on Fox Network Tuesday night at 8 o'clock, and then it's going to be on Hulu the next day. I got to tell you, we spent 4 or 5 months on this thing, and and had done several years of research before over the years. If you think Conrad Murray is responsible for Michael Jackson's death, and that's the end of the story, you don't understand what happened to Michael Jackson. It is shocking. We have the lead detective in the case, Orlando Martinez, who says on camera that he thinks that it was unfair to lay all this blame on Conrad Murray. This is the lead detective. We have a deputy coroner in charge of the case saying the same thing, pointing at another doctor, a guy named Arnie Klein, and others that just fueled Michael Jackson's addiction for years. We have Debbie Rowan, who is Michael Jackson's ex-wife. She would not talk about Michael because she can't or she won't, but she worked for Arnie Klein for 27 years. And the things that went on in that office that she talks about are unbelievable. Unbelievable. We have a bodyguard that Michael Jackson had who saw firsthand what happened to Michael Jackson when a doctor got his hands on his arm. And it is just shocking. And I think anybody who watches this is going to completely change their view of what happened to this guy. And it's really sad, but it started with a Pepsi commercial where an accident happened and 25 years later ended with his death. It is really shocking.
Dr. Conrad Murray was convicted of killing Michael Jackson, but that's not the real story.
Who really killed Michael Jackson?
Doctors like Arnold Klein, who regularly plied patients with opioids.
People died. In some way, I was part of it. Give me a minute.
I will always love Michael.
There's a lot of folks to blame that have never had a reckoning.
TMZ investigates who really killed Michael Jackson, September 6th on Fox.
Oh my God. First of all, when I saw the photographs of the top secret documents seized at Mar-a-Lago, I had no doubt where they were taken because nobody in the federal government would have a carpet that tacky. You saw the carpet under.
I didn't notice, but I am assuming.
Well, you know. Oh my God! And he had this crap in his desk.
He had. They found.
Oh my God!
They found 100 documents.
He looks like a hoarder.
DOJ
It's
came out. They
strange.
said they found 100 documents. 320 classified documents so far. 100 of them. 3 of them were in his various desks in his office. These are top secret. The most secret documents of an entire government. And there were rumors initially that there were nuclear secrets. He had.
I'm not sure that's true.
There were rumors that.
Right? No. The Washington
initially.
Post said they were.
Yes.
Nobody's talked about that, but they're clearly of the highest level.
The highest possible level.
And the idea that, I mean, they're in his desk. Actually, his desk doesn't bother me as much as the basement because other people had access to the basement. They could get badminton equipment there.
Yeah.
No, and it's like, and they had these foreign nationals who were coming into Mar-a-Lago on false pretenses. I don't know if you've been reading about that.
Yeah.
So the government's now trying to assess what the damage to this is. And they don't know because they don't know who had access. And what they're trying to figure out is, you know, if the Russians had access, then this. If the Chinese had access, then this. If Iran had access, and it's all theoretical, but they're looking at all these documents and nobody knows who saw them. I mean, it's
Is
really.
Donald Trump sloppy or nefarious, though? That's what I can't get my head around, because when you
Why
visited
did he
him and
take him?
saw
You got to start with why would he take
So
them?
Michael Cohen,
Yeah.
his former lawyer, was on a podcast yesterday, and he asked that very question. He said, you have to look at Donald Trump. He's always transactional. Everything he does is transactional. It's not for keepsakes. Everything is transactional. If he took them, he had a plan for them. He had, even if it was a latent plan, even if somebody's going to hold in the back of his mind and use later on, he had a plan for them. He didn't take them just to have them.
Right.
He saw these are important documents. These could have value for me and took them.
That's
Is that
right.
the idea?
And-
That's
okay.
right. Whether he knew that value at the moment or he sensed a future value,
Someone else
there was
might want
value.
it. Interesting.
What we know is he didn't take them because he liked reading them, because he didn't read anything. He probably never read these documents,
Right.
and may know generally what they are, but probably more importantly, he knew they were top secret, and that was important enough. And he takes all of this stuff. I mean, it's pretty. I mean, to me, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out.
And the idea which he keeps throwing out there that he had declassified.
Oh, that's
them. He's
just
the president,
stupid.
which he
That's just-
certainly has the right to declassify, but he didn't do it. And there's a process.
Yeah,
for
no,
declassification.
that's just stupid.
And the idea that he's going to declassify
By the
top
way,
secret documents.
By the way,
Yeah.
if they were declassified, it's still the government's property.
It's still the government.
It doesn't matter.
Right. He can
It
change
doesn't
the designation.
matter.
Right.
So the point is that it is what it is.
Yeah.
And if it says top secret, it's top secret. But the information is the information is the information. That information stays with the government, not Donald Trump.
Right.
And
Whether
whether
how you store them is different, right? If he declassifies them,
if they're
him
not
having them
classified
strewn
documents-
The one
about is
thing
not
I-
as big of a
it's not a
deal.
the
crime.
one
It's not a
thing
crime.
I know
Yeah.
is that the National Archives doesn't store stuff in a basement where you can get badminton equipment.
Aren't you desperate to know what the 3 documents in his desk are? There's a reason those 3 documents were removed,
Yes.
were seconded
Yes.
by him
Yes.
personally in
Yes.
his desk.
The reason
Yes.
that's fascinating is because it goes to his state of mind.
And by the way,
he thought those were interesting.
And it's
in
not
some way.
because of the most secret. It's not because he doesn't care about nuclear secrets. To your point, he was never, by his own admission, he never read everything that was presented to him. These are documents that impacted him.
Yes.
That's why he has those 3 documents. I'm dying to know what's in those.
They're
Yeah.
endlessly fascinating because it's hard to get in his state of mind and not just think of him as a bloviating fool. But if he actually intentionally put something in a desk that were separate and apart from the ones in the badminton, drawer or the
Yes.
badminton basement, that's the object of fascination
Right.
for me. I agree with you.
Go ahead.
The Macron thing is just, it really makes him look like an extortionist.
Yeah, he's got sexual.
It really
he's got
makes
secrets
him
about
look like an
Macron's
extortionist.
The president of France, Emmanuel Macron.
This is really bad.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot that's bad. This is really bad. And at first you think, okay, these are documents. It doesn't really even come close to January 6th. But the more you start thinking
the
about
damage that
it,
could be done. Yeah.
the damage that could be done here is just immense.
Yeah.
And what was he going to do with these documents?
Right.
Yeah.
What was he going to do with them? He wasn't going to put them in the presidential library because he knew the National Archives wanted it.
Yeah.
So why did he have these documents?
There's no answer to that question.
There is an answer.
Well,
I just don't think we have it.
Well,
quite yet.
fair enough, of course.
Yeah.
But real quick, the person who's really in jeopardy here, Donald Trump, I still doubt he will ever do jail time for this. But the real person in jeopardy, there's a lawyer, and her name is now surfaced. They kept it quiet, but it's now surfaced. I don't have it at the tip of my tongue. But she signed the affidavit under penalty of perjury that they had turned over every record in the Trump's possession.
That was
That
a
is
lie.
a lie.
That was a lie.
It's proven now to be a
Yeah.
lie. She's going to be prosecuted. You can't let this person off when they sign that document.
Although
and
they're
send it
going to
the
say,
DOJ.
well, he told us and I relied on him.
Well, no. She
But she
was
has to
in the
attest to
warehouse
it.
where there are other boxes that had already been taken out of there.
So let me
and
ask
there are
you,
a ton of witnesses.
final question.
Yeah.
Does the National Archives have everything, or did he move some stuff where they didn't find it?
Impossible to know. You'd have to believe he moved things, right? You have to.
I think
Well,
so.
only if he knew this raid was coming.
Well, he did.
He knew they were looking for the documents because they asked him to turn over stuff, and I assume,
No,
told him
because
it was incomplete and
he
said
was
turn over
hiding.
more.
He was
Yeah.
hiding things. So, did he know there was going to be a raid that day? No, but did he think there could be a raid? At some point, he had lawyers.
Yeah.
That's why he put the 3 documents in his desk. He didn't know they looked there. I gotta think that. I just
The last place they'll look is my desk drawer.
right.
And you know what? I want to just say one other thing. This is a totally different topic, but I was thinking of it last night. I was watching. God, I don't remember. I was watching I think MSNBC last night, and I just thought to myself, I want to turn to Fox and I want to watch how they're telling stories. And God, when you look at the two, when you look at cable news and how tribal it's all become, one side cannot understand the worldview of the other side on both sides.
Right.
And then when you watch the way things are presented and fed, you get it.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, I'm not
Not
like
taking sides.
No,
No, the
it's
silos
just-
are completely
Right.
the same information delivered and packaged in very different ways.
I think it's really important for everybody, no matter what they believe, to watch the other side.
Yes.
Because you got to understand why half the country so disagrees with you, whichever side you're on.
Right.
Yeah.
And the fact that people can't understand it, and that doesn't mean that somebody who receives information and processes it, that they're inherently, stupid or fucked up or whatever. It's that this is the information they're being fed on both sides. And, it's just a better way of understanding people you disagree with.
Right.
It really stunned me. It was so
It's stunning.
incredibly.
The information, by the way, that you're getting from the right, from Fox and others, is all about how are you guys ignoring Hunter Biden? They keep saying that there is a direct link between Hunter Biden's illegal acts and President Biden.
Well, Hunter Biden's a big deal, but they talk about other stuff too.
But
and on
the
other
CNN doesn't talk about
No,
that.
they-
though.
of course they don't.
Ever. They don't bring it up.
It's
Right.
just everything is so tribal
Yeah.
that and what happens is you tend to go to what you would agree with and shut out the other side because you think it's so awful. But I think you've got to listen to the stuff you think is awful to understand why half the country isn't with you.
Right.
Period.
Right. 100%.
See you Friday, or see you tomorrow, actually.